Alright, so when you see text-dependent analysis, or TDA, or you know that you're going to be working on a TDA during class, you may have a response similar to the following. And I'm here to tell you that that is okay. You don't have to love everything that you work on, but there is a really important purpose for a text-dependent analysis, so we're going to go over that and then review the TDA process. So RACER, TDA is why. So the purpose of a TDA is so that students are challenged to construct a well-written essay to demonstrate analysis of a text supported with examples, moving beyond just answering a question. So the goal is that you are not just answering something, you're not just regurgitating something you just read, you are actually analyzing the text and you're connecting it, you're answering it, you're finding good text evidence, and then you're connecting it to your own thoughts and reasoning. So what? Why should you care? This is, when I was in school, I always did my work and I always did it to the best of my ability, but I felt like sometimes I didn't see a purpose in things. So it's important that we do set a purpose. A text-dependent analysis requires you to find evidence from the text and connect it with your own reasoning and thoughts to support your answer. So in life, you are most likely not going to have to hand in formal TDAs, but if you can back up your claims and your opinions with good evidence, it can make your ideas more valid. So people believe you, bosses can put their trust in you, coworkers want to work with you if you have good evidence. People might not always agree with you, but they will hear your opinions out if you have good evidence. When you go for a job interview, when I went for a teaching interview, they didn't just tell me to answer a question. They wanted me to answer the question and cite specific pieces of evidence. Not only did they want to know that I was doing different things in my teaching, but they wanted to hear real examples of those things in practice. So it's important. This is something that will follow you way beyond this classroom. So I did a lot of research and I talked with the other LA teachers, and we were talking about how a lot of times students don't even really understand what the question or the prompt is asking. So it doesn't really make sense. They write this beautifully worded essay, but it doesn't really address the question or address the prompt. So the first thing I want you to always do is to figure out what the question or what the prompt is asking you. So read it once, read it twice, read it 3 times, read it 26 times, whatever it takes. So you need to dissect the question, write all over it. So if we look at this question, this is just a sample question. What does the conversation between Lily and Harold reveal about their past and future relationships? So the first thing I always do is to circle any words that seem important. So conversation, Lily and Harold, past and future relationships. If I had this in front of me, I would be writing all over it. So what does the conversation between Lily and Harold reveal about their past and future relationships? So I'm looking at a conversation, Lily and Harold, and then I'm thinking about what this shows me about their past, how were they in the past, and what does this show me about their future? It's really important that I understand what the question or the prompt is asking me. So in order to delve deeper into RACER, we need an anchor text to work with to practice. I was really feeling pizza when I was writing this, so I have a lot of different food examples you will see throughout this presentation. But let's take a look at the history, the short history of Pizza Hut. So this is taken directly from the Pizza Hut website. So 2 brothers from Kansas founded Pizza Hut in 1958. The $600 startup money was borrowed from their mother. The equipment was secondhand, and the furnishings of the restaurant, which was located at a busy crossroads at the center of Wichita, Kansas, were very modest. But brothers Frank and Dan Carney hit a bullseye in 1958 when they opened their first pizza restaurant, which they called Pizza Hut, referring to the rather inconspicuous building. Today, more than 50 years later, there are more than 13,000 Pizza Huts in over 100 countries worldwide. A success story that is proof of the good hunch of the two brothers, college students at the time, who followed up on a suggestion made by a friend of the family and believed in a gastronomy concept still relatively unknown in America at that time. So we are doing Racer, and what I want you to do is to first look at the question. So this is a pretty simple prompt. Write an essay discussing Pizza Hut's humble beginnings. So we're going to be writing an essay. It's about Pizza Hut and how they started. So our first part of Racer is to reword the prompt by briefly answering it. This is your thesis. So not that long ago, TDAs were almost always worded in a question format. Now more often you'll see it kind of in an essay or a prompt format. Write an essay, respond, things like that. So what you want to do is to flip the question or the prompt into a statement, which will be your thesis statement. What you do not want to do is just repeat the question and keep it a question, or just completely repeat the prompt. You need to change a part of it. It should not be a question. So we are rewording the prompt by briefly answering it. This is your thesis. So write an essay discussing Pizza Hut's humble beginnings. Which of these would be the best R of Racer? The next thing you're going to do is to answer the question, the A of Racer. So you're going to answer the prompt and maintain focus on this topic for the entire essay. So I like to think of this as just kind of going more in depth. It's more in depth to the thesis. You are actually responding to the prompt or answering the direct question. So if you look at all of the examples in a moment, which of those answers the prompt in the best way? Now is the C, which is cite evidence, the C of Racer. This is very important. It's a little bit tricky. So first I want to talk about how we find the best evidence. So it is true that you may be able to use different parts of this to respond to the prompt in your answer. But it is also true that some parts are a lot better than others in supporting your answer. What you should think about always is you need to find evidence that supports your answer. Don't just put something random because you can't find evidence. Really read it and try to support your answer with evidence from the text over here. So when you are doing the C, you really should have at least 3 pieces of evidence. 3. It's a little tricky to do that in this article because it's so short. So we're going to stick with 2. So what do you think of what is listed next in the questions? Which 2 pieces of evidence do you think best support your answer? And now we're at the E of Racer. So E is to explain your evidence details in order to show how they support your answer to the prompt. So again, you're going to look at your evidence, and then you're explaining really how that evidence supports your answer. So which E for explain, which explanation do you think best supports the answer? Alright, and finally the R, you are restating your thesis with a concluding transition word and summarizing your main points. So you're kind of looking back at your answer and you can rewrite that with some new words and a concluding transition word. If you are unsure about any transition words, because you should be using transition words throughout this Racer TDA essay, you can look, there is in the folder for today, there is a PDF version of just different transition words that you can use in a TDA. So you can take a look at that. Alright, now we're just going to do a little bit of practice. So we're going to practice 2 of the things that people usually need work on, and that is rewording the statement and actually answering the question or prompt, and then also finding the best piece of evidence. So how would you reword the statement into your thesis to make your thesis? So here is the prompt. Write an essay analyzing Annie Ann's success. So we're writing an essay, and we're going to analyze Annie Ann's success. So over here, I have a short little story about Annie Ann's. It says, the chain started as a market stand in Downingtown, Pennsylvania farmers market in 1988. The franchise began when a store location opened at Saturday's Market in Middletown, Pennsylvania. Annie Ann celebrated their 100th store opening in Granite Run Mall, Media, Pennsylvania in 1992. So, how can I reword the statement into a thesis? So which of the following is the best R of racer? All right, and now we are going to practice finding the best evidence. So I have a statement right here. Annie Ann started as a small startup in PA. What I want you to do is I want you to look over here, and you're going to see it on the next screen. Which piece of evidence best supports the statement that Annie Ann started as a small startup in PA? All right, so we are going to redo what we just did. So you're going to again look at the R, and then we're going to look at the best evidence. So how would you reword the statement into your thesis, the R of racer? So here is our new prompts that we would be responding to. Write an essay analyzing why the monarch butterfly is well known in the United States. I'm going to give you a moment to read through this. Do that now. All right, now that you had a chance to read this section over here, and you can always just pause it if you need more time, I want you to think about which of the statements that are written, the multiple choice statements, which of the multiple choice statements shows how you would reword the statement into your thesis. And we are going to practice finding the best evidence. So our statement is the monarch butterfly is a common butterfly. Again, the monarch butterfly is a common butterfly. So which piece of evidence, and you will see a multiple choice, it will be multiple choice, supports the statement that the monarch butterfly is a common butterfly? All right, now we are going to do a practice. So you are going to have a piece of paper, eraser, graphic organizer in front of you to do this practice. So I want you to make sure you are following along and following the steps with it. The expectation is that you are finished with that eraser graphic organizer at the conclusion of this video. Feel free to pause it whenever you need. So the prompt, what we were responding to, is right here. So we are writing an essay explaining where the title Oreo may have originated. Use evidence from the text to support your answer. So I'm going to read that again. Write an essay explaining where the title Oreo may have originated. Use evidence from the text to support your answer. So our text is right over here. I'm going to read it aloud. The mysterious name. When the cookie was first introduced in 1912, it appeared as an Oreo biscuit, which changed in 1921 to Oreo sandwich. There was another name change in 1937 to Oreo cream sandwich, before the modern name was decided upon in 1974, Oreo chocolate sandwich cookie. Despite the official name changes, most people have referred to the cookie simply as an Oreo. So where did the name Oreo come from? The people at Nabisco aren't quite sure. Some believe that the cookie's name was taken from the French word for gold, or the main color on early Oreo packages. I did not know that they used to be gold. Others claim that the name stemmed from the shape of a hill-shaped test version, thus naming the cookie in Greek for mountain, Oreo. Still others believe the name is a combination of taking the RE from cream and placing it between the two O shapes in chocolate, making O-R-E-O, or Oreo. And still others believe that the cookie was named Oreo because it was short and easy to pronounce. No matter how it got named, over 362 billion Oreo cookies have been sold since it was first introduced in 1912, making it the best-selling cookie of the 20th century. So the first thing that we're going to do is to reword the question or prompt. Remember, this shouldn't just be repeated. It needs to change in some way. It shouldn't just be reword it. It shouldn't just be a repeat of the question. So write an essay explaining where the title Oreo may have originated. Use evidence from the text to support your answer. So right now I want you in the R spot to reword the question or prompt from above. So if you need to take a look at the article, it is right over here. You should be able to see it all right now. And you can pause this video as long as you need. I'm going to give you a little bit of time, but I want you to do that now. Alright, if you didn't have enough time, please pause the video. The next part that we're going to do is the A, and the A is to answer the prompt and maintain focus on this topic for the entire essay. So this is kind of a continuation, and you're going into more detail from your R. So you're actually answering the question, you are thinking about what the prompt is asking you, and you're answering it. You may even talk about some evidence that is in the text, not direct evidence, but you are going into more depth for your answer. So write an essay explaining where the title Oreo may have originated. So you are answering that prompt. Please do that now in the A spot on your graphic organizer. Alright, if you need more time, just pause the video. The next thing, we're going to do the C and the E of racer together because it makes sense. So again, we are writing an essay explaining where the title Oreo may have originated or where it came from. So you need to choose 2 pieces of evidence. Sometimes I will say, and I will encourage 3 pieces of evidence, and that's what you should be doing. But for this, since it's just a practice, you only need to choose 2 pieces of evidence. So for the C, we are citing evidence. So look at your answer and think and go through this article and think which pieces of evidence, which pieces of text best support your answer. So you're going to find a piece of text, and then I suggest you go right to the E and you're going to explain how your evidence supports your answer. So you're looking right at the evidence and talking about how that supports your answer. So you are doing this process twice because we are choosing 2 pieces of evidence. So you should have a C and an E, a C and an E. So go ahead, I'm going to give you some time, and if you need more time, you may always pause it. Alright, if you need some more time, please pause this video. If you are finished with the C and the E, I want you to check over it. I want you to make sure that your evidence shows how the title, where the title Oreo may have come from. So look, there are a bunch of examples in here. So where did the name Oreo come from? The people at Nabisco aren't quite sure, right? So these are all things that we're not completely sure. But there are a bunch of examples through here that show us or tell us about where it could have come from. So make sure your two pieces of evidence are from this section of this short article. And then make sure you explain. You cannot just say, this shows where Oreo may have originated from. You need to go into a little detail. This shows where the title Oreo may have originated from because. If you haven't done this, I want you to go back and change it. The expectation is that your explain goes into detail about how your evidence supports your answer. So if you did not do that, please do that right now. If you need more time, go ahead and pause the video. Alright, our last part of this example is to restate your thesis. So find the final R box. You're going to restate your thesis with a concluding transition word and summarize your main points. Again, you are taking from the beginning your reworded prompt, your reworded what we said was your thesis, and you are going to restate that with a concluding transition word, like in conclusion, in the end. If you need help with transition words, please use the PDF document that is in the folder that I talked about earlier. Take your time and do this now. It's really important that you have a concluding statement, something that closes your work. If you need more time, just pause the video. But you should have a full TDA graphic organizer, eraser graphic organizer filled out at this time. Remember I said you only need 2 pieces of evidence, but in the future you will need 3. But this is such a short article and we're just practicing that I'm only going to have you do 2. So tomorrow we are going to move on to TDA step 2. You're going to have a little bit of assistance if you would like, but you're going to basically be doing a TDA on your own. Have a happy day.